Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and we have some gaming news finally on the channel. It's been a long time since we last covered Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. That would have been 8 years ago, 4 years ago from our last video, but this weekend was the Pantheon free-to-play weekend, or what many of us are calling the CohhCarnage free-to-play weekend. So it was just great to not only know that the game is still coming along, it is in alpha, for those still wondering, or those who probably already know. Came into this game completely cold, very little expectations as far as what to really anticipate or critique, pros and cons and those sorts of things. I was just happy to be able to experience the game that I had been waiting for so long. I mean, it's been, 9 years from when I guess it was first announced to when they started alpha testing and stuff like that. So being here in the game was just an amazing experience. And see here, I'm just hitting level 2, and you get reputation in the game as opposed to faction. But you'll have to forgive me for not knowing all the terminology and so forth that many of you guys that have pledged and have been playing every 6 weeks or more, the VIPs and so forth, that have played with regularity. But the game felt really good, and it seems that they have made a lot of progress. Now, I'll have to confess that I'm embarrassed by admitting this, but I didn't realize that you could keep the harvesting tools on your character. So that was just one of those things where, I was just learning the game just completely cold, and I didn't get the option to start a druid, so I went ahead and started a cleric. Most people liken the game to EQ, obviously, because of Brad McQuaid, and much of the functionality was incredibly similar to EQ, but similar to most MMOs. But the game just felt really well done. Now, I struggled here just to even move. The camera movement was weird for me because I've been playing first-person shooters for a while. It was great to see how many people were playing. There was a lot of people on this weekend. I didn't start till Saturday. And 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, is really not a lot of time to really get into it. But I tried to do as much as I could, and my guildmates were a huge help. Here's one of my guildmates here now, and he's going to give me some material so that I can go to one of the scavenging tables to experience a little bit of the crafting system. And, of course, how trade windows and everything works. Because, as I said, I was going into this incredibly cold, not knowing how a lot of things worked. But being an EQ veteran, I knew to keep certain things and to be mindful of certain things and to make sure that you're working on various different things, for example, like the crafting system. And with it being an alpha, I think they made crafting fairly easy, obviously, because they want people to experience it, get an idea of how it works, without having to go into all the minutia of it all. Because, of course, once the game releases, I would anticipate that crafting will be much slower, lots of interdependency among other characters and sub-combines and combining. But I found that the system was somewhat intuitive, but I had to keep in mind that it was alpha, so there wasn't like a lot of hand-holding, a lot of step-by-step, no in-game map, so you really are truly getting that original MMO experience. Now, before I get into the combat, I just want to point out the little forger guy here. If you kill him, or if you're able to, he drops some really great loot. Matter of fact, once we had killed him, I think we got 2 things that I needed for a particular quest. But the combat felt very much like EQ, and it was kind of what I anticipated. I was wondering if it was going to be a little like Guild Wars 2 with a little bit more movement and strafing sort of style of fighting. But it is very indicative and reminiscent of EQ, EQ2 style fighting. Looting, of course, I do like the take all button. I think that was kind of nice and intuitive. And I think I do some skinning here. I'm not really sure. But as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to make sure that I got as much. I want to try to do as much as I could in the game. And skinning felt really neat. Of course, you can increase your capability of skinning and so forth by making better tools, which is why I wanted to experience some of the crafting system, because, of course, you're going to get, that whole idea of how everything works. And so, yeah, you can make better tools for skinning, but I did like the skinning system. I'm glad it's in there and not just a kill and loot kind of system. So it kind of gives you a little bit more to do. It allows you to feel like you're participating more in the game. And overall, just the combat system felt really good. The graphics were amazing. I really liked it as much as I was challenged with movement and learning things. But the environment felt really nice, and it felt immersive, and it wasn't too gimmicky with some of the things we see in newer MMOs. You can solo in the game, which a lot of people have become more accustomed to now. It is a little bit easier for mat gathering for your materials and for crafting. But being in a group has a lot of benefits. You're able to get some of those mobs that you need for various quests in the game, as well as better loot items. So being able to play in a group always is going to give you a much better advantage. Now, from what I understood from my guildmates that I was playing with, there wasn't any bonuses to flanking or any other types of things that we would be accustomed to in other games. That was some of the questions I had. And apparently, as of now, maybe they'll introduce it later, but there was no flanking bonus or other types of bonuses for the way we were all positioned. So I just let them kind of do their thing, and being the cleric, I just kind of chilled back, healed them as we went along, provided them with the shield capability that the cleric has. But overall, just the way spells were working, the way you get them, and so forth, it wasn't overly complicated or difficult. You can find your spells at your guild hall or guild area, so that was very intuitive there. But the combat system with a group felt equally as good. I don't know, like I said, if there's going to be additional bonuses or other things once the game is released. But here we are hitting level 4. So as I said, you will get much better experience if you're with a group. When I wasn't out harvesting and gathering materials or fighting for experience, I wanted to sit down and just kind of take a look at the UI, see how various things worked, mastery and macros and so forth. I didn't get enough time over the weekend. I only played for 2 days, so I didn't really get a lot of hands-on when it comes to how a lot of these things work. So I'm anticipating watching a lot of your guys' videos out there that may come across this. There was several individuals that have covered the game that I thought had some really good resources, and even how to do some of the quests that were out there. So I'm definitely going to be checking all that out. Your character has any number of different skills that you can develop, those being sprinting, as I was just doing there. The yellow indicator you see there is part of the stamina that works with both sprinting and climbing. Climbing is really cool. That is a really neat feature that was in the game. Unfortunately, we weren't able to swim, and I didn't have enough time to go fishing, but those would have been interesting to help develop and build up as well. I'm really looking forward to learning more about the game by watching your guys' videos, reading, and of course the streamers. But 2 days wasn't a lot of time. However, I tried to compact it as best I could to learn as much as I could from my guildmates that have been in the game. And here's our forager who came along and dropped some really nice items. It was really a great experience. Amazing. The development team has done really well considering what they've had to deal with. But nonetheless, guys, I want to thank all of you who participated in the weekend that helped me out with things, as well as my guildmates. And, of course, appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe to the channel, as well as to select notifications. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.